Pick yours. Fun to watch.
-15.
Respect all, fear none.
Into the upper deck.
Intensity is not a curfew.
Oh, mercy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome into MASN All Access. I'm your host, Paul Mancano, broadcasting from my apartment in downtown Baltimore. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that from wherever you're joining us, you're safe, healthy, and you're with your family. The Orioles news of the day: Trey Mancini has spoken publicly for the first time, save for a tweet, since he was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer back in March. It comes in the form of a Players Tribune article released this morning, and in it, Mancini discusses undergoing chemotherapy treatments that will last 6 months at a hospital in Baltimore. Mancini is going through all the necessary precautions during this health crisis, going to these treatments alone. He also said he doesn't expect to play in 2020, assuming there is a season to be played at all this year. Here's a snippet from the piece, quote, "If baseball returns in 2020, it will probably be without me. Whenever the time comes for me to come back to baseball, I'll be ready. But I just want to make sure that I am physically fine before I go out there and start trying to perform again at a major league level." Mancini also talks about how he's been blessed with family, friends, and teammates to get him through this difficult time. And in the article, Mancini displays the incredible courage, determination, and positivity that we've come to expect from Trey. The article is titled, "I Am So Lucky," and it can be found at thePlayersTribune.com. Well, tomorrow night, MASN will be rebroadcasting the Orioles' 16-inning marathon win in Anaheim from last July. For many of you, it'll be a good opportunity to see it for the first time because you probably, understandably, went to bed before the game ended around 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time. It was a wild back-and-forth affair that featured 2 Orioles relievers blowing saves and an Orioles position player finally locking down the win in the 16th. That player was Stevie Wilkerson, and last week I had a chance to talk to Stevie about his memories of that incredible and incredibly long game.
I definitely misplayed a ball in the 7th inning and a couple runs scored. And then right after that in the 8th inning, I hit a double to tie the game back up.
And the pitch, Wilkerson swings, hits a high fly ball, right center field. That ball is crushed, and it is in there for a base hit, and it's against the wall. Here's Hyde to score to tie. Wilkerson rounding second. He hits the third with an RBI triple. We were out of arms. Tanner had come in right before me, and he had thrown the day before as well, at least an inning, maybe 2. So Hyde was like, "Hey, you're up, man." And then when VR hit that 2-run jack, I think.
Way back in! Goodbye, home run! He gets the dinger!
Hyde was like, "You still got this?" I'm like, "Let's do it, man."
Wilkerson is going to come on to pitch.
From center field to pitch.
I think I took a little extra off, some of them here and there.
I mean, there it is. It's almost like a knuckleball.
There were times where I'd try to go in and out a little bit. It was 2-0 to Calhoun. I unintentionally threw the first 2 off the plate outside.
He'll take the pitch. It'll be outside for a ball.
And I was like, dang, up until then I hadn't really had trouble just like putting it over the plate, I'm like, shoot, I got to start this one in a little bit. So I did start it in.
Should be taken.
2-0 delivery. Yep. Takes it. It's a strike on the inside corner.
I actually still think it was a ball inside, but I got that one across there. And I'm like, oof, okay, we're back. Going back and looking at it, for Pujols to be the last out there, it'll be pretty cool to tell the kids.
That's shallow center field. It's Santander, and they got it! And Wilkerson gets the save.
Hyde was giving me the nod there at the end of the game. A lot of emotions were in.
And the Orioles have won a 10-8 ball game in 16 innings. Unbelievable.
Tune in tomorrow for the rebroadcast of that Orioles 10-8 win over the Angels starting at 7 o'clock on MASN. We're continuing our 20 in 20 series, highlighting 20 players that you should keep your eye on in the Orioles system in 2020 and beyond. Next up is the Orioles' second-round pick from 2019, Gunnar Henderson. 2019 first-round pick Adley Rutschman was hailed as a sure thing on draft night.
The complete package, Paul. The offense and defense is there, leadership.
Second-rounder Gunnar Henderson was more of an unknown quantity. but the Alabama native has plenty of upside.
This is a very talented young shortstop, still 17 years old.
Henderson is exactly the kind of prospect Mike Elias was looking for in his first draft as GM.
You know, we're also an organization that's in a lot of need for talented young infielders.
After a summer in the Gulf Coast League, Henderson is eyeing Aberdeen as a potential starting spot in 2020.
I felt like I put the right work in during the offseason, and hopefully it'll progress me as high as I want to go.
Henderson played just 29 games in the Gulf Coast League with the O's. He hit .259 with a homer and 11 RBIs. The Orioles gave him $2.3 million to keep him away from Auburn, where he had a commitment. Henderson said at the Orioles Caravan that he hopes to earn a promotion to Aberdeen or Delmarva in 2020. Next up is a lefty in the Orioles system, Keegan Aiken. In the past year, the Orioles farm system has become saturated with pitching talent.
DL Hall and Grayson Rodriguez, I can't even name them all. We have so many pitchers that are promising that look good.
So much so that a player like Keegan Aiken may fly under the radar.
Keegan Aiken strikes out the side.
But Aiken deserves plenty of attention.
2-2 swing and a miss, overpowered him.
Lefty didn't have eye-popping numbers in 2019, but Aiken has made a habit of proving doubters wrong.
Keegan Aiken got a tremendous night tonight.
And in 2020, he may just get to do that in Baltimore. Here were Aiken's numbers in 2019. 25 games, 24 of them starts, a 4.73 ERA with a 1.513 whip. But context is everything. The median team ERA in the International League jumped by more than a full run last year. All to say nobody had a good year on the mound in the International League in 2019. Aiken did lead the league in strikeouts, however, with 131, and righties hit just 226 against him. Well, many MLB managers have experience playing at the big league level. Brandon Hyde does not. In fact, he only played 200 games in his pro career, 4 seasons in the White Sox minor leagues, and 1 year in independent ball. Injuries kept Hyde from a longer playing career, but Hyde compiled numerous great stories from his time as a catcher and DH, even if he doesn't like to admit it. Back in Sarasota in February, I sat down with Brandon Hyde to discuss some of those stories. Here in Sarasota, Florida for Orioles spring training and joined by manager Brandon Hyde. Brandon, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, of course, everybody wants to ask about how you're managing your second big league camp, but I want to get back to your playing days. You said before we started recording here that it was going to be a 2-minute conversation. I'm going to try to stretch that out. Yeah. Let's go back to your days at Long Beach State as a dirtbag. Dirtbag being used because that's what you guys call yourselves,
It's a good
right?
term.
Yeah.
It's a good term. You know, the dirtbag name started with the coach that I played for, I think it was 1989. It was kind of the program wasn't what it became, and that it was kind of starting over. They didn't really have a field, so they would practice on a dirt field, and they gave themselves the name the Dirtbags, and they went to Omaha that year to the College World Series, and then just started this really good tradition of really producing a lot of professional players, a lot of big league players. It's a term that everybody that played there holds close to their heart, and proud to be one.
You played 200 minor league games, but you struggled with a little bit of injuries throughout your minor league career.
Yeah, when I signed, I was hurt. When I played in my senior year at Long Beach, I played with a hurt elbow, and I just always tried to mask it and just try to grind through it as best I could. It was a short-lived minor league career just because my elbow never recovered, and I would do the best I can to protect it, but it just didn't last real long.
As a catcher, how much did that inhibit you throwing out base runners as well?
Well, I was in the training room quite a bit and just never got it fixed, and it was just a stress fracture, this bad stress fracture that just never would heal. And being a free agent sign and a guy that was just trying to make a team and hang in there as long as I could, I just never really said anything. I look back, I would do so many things differently. That's kind of a story I tell people sometimes, is that, you know, make sure that you speak up if you're hurt, and make sure that you're communicating, and I just didn't do a very good job of that when I was a player, and I just wanted to play as long as I could and as high as I could, and I wish I would have said, you know, spoken up.
As a manager, of course, you deal with injured players all the time. Yeah. In particular, I think of a guy maybe like Alex Cobb, who's dealt with a lot of injuries over his career, and that can really have a toll on a player after a long period of time. Does it help to kind of have that experience and when you talk to them?
Yeah, it's really frustrating. You want to play. Yeah. And when you're not able to, yeah, it's really hard. And you just have a lot of tough days, and that you can't do what you love to do, and you can't achieve the goals you're trying to achieve. And so I have appreciation and respect for guys that are hurt, that are coming back from injuries, and hope for the best for them.
So as a player, who would you say is the best player while you were in the White Sox organization that you played with?
Played some pretty good players. We won a couple championships. I caught Mark Burley a lot. Burley was a kind of a later round JC pick. 19 years old, came to us in the Midwest League. He was like a big leaguer from the time he stepped on the field. He was just so good, and I don't think I've ever seen anybody with that kind of command.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was the best player you played against?
Played against a lot of really good major league players. The one that sticks out for me was when Sabathia was drafted in the first round. He was like an 18-year-old kid throwing 99. I was a little bit older, and I remember I had him 3-0 and was going to try to get early to a fastball, and I hit it whip back here down the right field line for a double. So that just shows you how late I was. But yeah, Sabathia is probably one of the best pitchers I've seen. Did
you know at that point, obviously he's 18 years old, but did you have an idea that he had that potential in him?
There was no doubt.
Yeah.
If he just stayed healthy, he was going to be really good for a long time.
Well, we should get you at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony to tell that story. That'd be a great story.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't remember.
When was the last time that you were able to take BP?
This is like a sad interview. Last time I was coaching Midwest League 2005 or 6. Decided to take some batting practice on the field with my hitting coach. I think we both hurt ourselves. So both of us hurt ourselves. I had an oblique that I couldn't sneeze for 3 weeks. Ooh. Hurt so bad. But yeah, so that was the last time I said, you know what, my days are over.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with golf.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you can swing a golf club.
Fine, swing a golf club, fine, yeah.
That's good. Do you have a favorite manager from your playing days?
Yeah, I played for some really good ones. I go back to my college coach, Dave Snow, who was excellent and Team USA coach for a lot of years, and so I learned a lot from him. But then in Pro Bowl, I played for Nick Capra for 3 years. He's now the third base coach of the White Sox. Being around him a lot, and we stayed in touch throughout the years, and then being in with the Cubs and him with the White Sox, so I see him all the time. So he was just a really good, hard-nosed manager that I really enjoyed playing for.
Did you pick up some stuff then that you have taken with you now as a manager?
Yeah, I think if your eyes are open and you listen, I think you're always taking stuff from people that you care about and respect, and see how they do things, and I'm always watching guys I respect.
You mentioned earlier that you would do a lot differently as a player. I think particularly analytics have obviously grown immensely since your days as a player. Knowing what you know now about sabermetrics, what kind of things would you try to incorporate in your game that you weren't able to do back then?
You know, I definitely would have understood more about the walk slug. The OPS. And I think back then it was just average RBIs, homers.
Yeah.
And not understand the importance of a walk, not understand how how it helps you not your numbers wise, but team wise, all that kind of stuff. So I would have definitely tried to tighten up my strike zone management as a hitter, an approach where I'm getting a good pitch to drive. Instead of, I think I just got my at-bats over way too early in the count because I was trying too hard instead of really letting the at-bat come and taking what's given.
And of course, back then, those were stats that probably even front offices didn't value as much as they do.
Yeah, I mean, it was average homers or RBIs back then, runs scored.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for reminiscing on your days. I'm sorry we had to bring up some painful memories there as well. But,
yeah. Not a whole lot to talk about.
We won't see you out there taking BP.
No.
We'll see you throwing some
BP. I'll throw. Yeah, my elbow feels way better than it does when I play. But yeah, no BP.
Well, thanks so much for joining us here on MASN All Access.
All right, thanks for having me.
Brandon Hyde joining us here from Sarasota, Florida. Well, Friday marks the first day of May, and baseball is still nowhere in sight. So how are Orioles fans getting through this tough time without the sport that they love? Our Amy Jennings spoke with a few of them from 6 feet away, of course.
While the lights are off on the season,
opening day was difficult. The Orioles have the lead. That's like the ta-da of being an Orioles fan.
O's fans are finding ways to get through. They're watching old games.
I actually watched 21-31 Cal's game. I've watched that twice now.
Reflecting on memories.
And the funny thing is, some of these games that I'm watching, I was here.
And making new ones.
The 21-31 was pretty fun. We recorded that, and my daughter, who was not alive at that time, we got to share that moment, and that was really cool.
It's a chance for the players to make new memories too.
And all work.
This time of year, they wouldn't see their dads. You know, this is like an extra special time that they get to be with their kids.
In this time of stillness,
it's kind of like a win-win for us. You know, we can build our team right now. I mean, who knows? We could have win a World Series next year.
There's a new appreciation of baseball.
I knew that we weren't going to compete for a playoff spot this year, but it's still the fact, of missing watching every night, coming here to the games. Everything that makes baseball fun.
So when it's time to say play ball.
Orioles, don't worry, we'll be in the stands. I can't wait to the first game. I'm hoping to get everybody in there, and we're going to pack that place.
These O's fans are ready.
When anybody says something, oh yeah, those Orioles, I'm like, yep, I love them. That's all there is to it.
For MASN All Access, Amy Jennings.
Finally, a piece of good news because we could all use it. MASN camera operator Lee Stevens and his wife Shannon welcomed a healthy and beautiful baby boy on April 20th. Harrison Troy James Stevens comes in at 9 pounds, 12 ounces. And after a quick stay at the hospital, the Stevens are back home. They are safe and they are healthy. Congratulations to the Stevens. That just about does it for MASN All Access. Thanks as always to Bobby Blanco and Hannah Broder behind the scenes. Stay home, stay healthy, stay safe. There's only one way we're getting through this, and that is together. We'll see you later.